You have been removed from the group chat. Just like that, I was unemployed, back in my $600 a month basement apartment, staring at a case of instant ramen. I felt like my life was officially over. My only escape was logging on to Twitch to watch this chaotic streamer who went by Sky. The next thing I knew, there was a knock on my door. When I opened it, standing there, beneath all the makeup, was her. She shoved a marriage contract in my face, her eyes wild and obsessive. Sign this, and I'll make you a star. All you have to do is be completely and totally mine. I thought she was a stalker. Then a helicopter landed on the roof of my building, and a man in a suit stepped out, bowing respectfully and calling her Miss King. Wait a minute. The unhinged streamer I'd been donating to for the past 6 months was actually a billionaire heiress. Ding dong. The doorbell rang, sharp and insistent, like a summons from the Grim Reaper. I lifted my head from a pile of empty ramen cups, completely dazed. Who would possibly be visiting this dump of a basement apartment besides my landlord wanting rent or the occasional utility worker taping a bill to the door? Who is it? I mumbled, shuffling over in my worn-out slippers to open the door. A woman stood on the other side. Long, wavy hair, a blush-toned trench coat, and a face so perfectly made up she looked like she'd stepped out of a magazine. I stared for 3 solid seconds before it hit me. Sky. This was the streamer I'd been watching for half a year. The one who would quietly play piano one moment and then launch into some unhinged rant the next. The one her fans affectionately called their chaotic queen. What was she doing here? Sky didn't say anything. Her beautiful, almond-shaped eyes scanned me from head to toe, her gaze analytical. Then her brow furrowed as she looked past me at the tiny, 100-square-foot hovel I called home. You live here? Her voice was the same as on her stream. Cool and clear with a hint of softness, but the disgust was unmistakable. I felt a flush of embarrassment and instinctively tried to close the door. You must have the wrong person. A streamer with millions of followers showing up at the door of her broke. One fan? This was either a prank or some kind of elaborate scam. My status as her top fan was built on a $1-a-day subscription and the occasional $5 gift, earned through 365 days of perfect attendance. Everything I owned wasn't even worth the price of her handbag, but she stuck out a hand, stopping the door. No mistake, she said, her eyes locking onto mine. Jack Carter, 24 years old, an orphan, just got laid off. Total savings, $427.50. My blood ran cold. She'd been investigating me. What the hell do you want? My guard went up instantly, my hand inching toward the broom I kept behind the door. Sky acted like she didn't see my pathetic attempt at self-defense. She walked right into my room, closing the door behind her. The cramped space was instantly filled with the scent of her expensive perfume. She pulled a folder from a ridiculously high-end designer bag and slapped it down on a single table that served as my desk, my dining room, and my gaming station. Sign it. I looked down. Emblazoned across the top in bold letters were 2 words, prenuptial agreement. My brain short-circuited. Marriage? To you. Who else? She shot back, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. She pulled out my only chair and sat down, crossing her legs elegantly. The terms are simple. We get married. After that, everything you have and everything you are belongs to me. In return, I'll give you everything you've ever wanted. My head was spinning. What I want? What do I want? A career, fame, money, respect. She looked at me with an unnerving certainty, like she could see right through me. You want to be an actor, don't you? I'll make you a star. I was completely floored. The only time I'd ever mentioned wanting to be an actor was when I was drunk, rambling in her stream's chat. She knew. This woman was either insane or a full-blown psychopath. I'm not signing. I refused flatly. You need to leave, or I'm calling the cops. The cops. Sky laughed, a cold, humorless sound. And what would I tell them when they arrive? That I came to see my legal husband, and he tried to throw me out. As she spoke, she pulled something else from her bag. A crisp, new, red-covered marriage certificate. On it, flawlessly photoshopped, were our 2 passport-sized photos. Groom, Jack Carter. Bride, Scarlet King. The world went dark for a second, and I almost collapsed. That's a forged document. Oh, she raised an eyebrow, slowly unlocking her phone and pulling up a web page. You can check the official county records website right now. Go on, see what our marital status is. My hand started to shake as I took her phone. Official website. Login. Search. When the words legally married popped up in bold red font, I felt my entire world crumble. Jack Carter, a broke, unemployed loser, had somehow gotten married to a streamer with millions of fans without even knowing it. What kind of twisted headline was this? Who are you? My voice was a raw whisper. The woman in front of me was no longer the quirky, artistic Sky from the stream. She was a stranger who held all the cards. Your wife, Scarlet King, answered succinctly. She stood up and started pacing around my tiny room, touching a dusty shelf here, glancing at a stack of books there, her frown deepening. This place is unlivable, she concluded. I let out a bitter laugh. Miss King, are you confused? This is my home. You broke in, forged. No, somehow actually processed a marriage license, and now you're trying to kick me out. Not kick you out, she corrected. Take you with me. She stepped in front of me, so close I could smell the scent of her hair. Jack, I don't have time to play house. Her expression was dead serious, tinged with an unyielding obsession. I've been looking for you for a long time. From now on, your life is under my management. I have to admit, in that moment, my heart hammered in my chest. A gorgeous, ultra-rich woman telling me in no uncertain terms that she was taking over my life. This was more insane than any of the pay-per-view web series I had saved on my hard drive. Why should I believe you? I made one last, desperate attempt at resistance. Scarlet didn't answer with words. She just pulled one more thing from her bag. A black, metallic credit card. The pin is your birthday. No limit. Go crazy. She pressed the card into my hand. It felt cool to the touch. You have one day to deal with your things here. I'll pick you up at 9 tomorrow morning. With that, she turned and walked out, the clicks of her heels on my cheap linoleum floor echoing like a queen surveying her new territory. The door slammed shut. I was left alone in the room with the black card and the ridiculous marriage agreement on my table. Clutching the card, I ran to the nearest ATM down the street. Check balance. The string of zeros that filled the screen turned me to stone on the spot. I've been alive for 24 years, and I didn't even know what you called a number that big. This wasn't a dream. This was real. I went back to my basement, stared at the agreement, and didn't sleep a wink. The next morning, at 8:59 a.m. on the dot, a black Rolls-Royce Phantom pulled up silently at the entrance to our rundown apartment building's alley. The tinted window rolled down, revealing Scarlet's flawless face. Get in. I was resigned to my fate. I grabbed my single, battered suitcase and, under the slack-jawed stares of my neighbors, climbed into the luxury car. The interior was absurdly spacious, the leather seats smelling of money. Where are we going? I asked. Home. The car eventually stopped at a penthouse overlooking the river. It had 360-degree floor-to-ceiling windows and was decorated in a style I didn't understand but knew was insanely expensive. A middle-aged woman greeted us at the door, bowing her head respectfully. Miss King, Mr. Carter. Then she handed me a pair of slippers. Scarlet gestured to the woman. This is Mrs. Davis. She'll be taking care of us from now on. I slipped on the slippers, feeling like I was walking on clouds, not hardwood floors. Your room is over there. The walk-in closet is stocked with clothes for you. Go get changed, Scarlet commanded, her instructions clear and precise. I walked into a bedroom bigger than my entire old apartment and opened the closet, rows upon rows of designer brands, all with the tags still on. I picked up a t-shirt, glanced at the price tag, and quietly put it back. These weren't clothes. They were gold bars. When I came out in a new outfit, Scarlet was sitting on the living room sofa with a laptop. Come here, she beckoned. I walked over, and she pointed at the screen. These are a few scripts I found for you. See which one you like. The screen was filled with project summaries. Flames of Fury, Blade of the Heavens, Urban Dragon. My eyelid twitched. Weren't these some of the hottest upcoming projects online? The ones actors were practically killing each other to get. Can I really audition for these? Why not? Scarlet looked up at me. You're my man. Is landing a lead role really that hard? Her tone was as casual as if she were commenting on the weather. I was silent. This was the definition of a sugar mama. Except she wasn't just offering the sugar. She was prying my mouth open and force-feeding it to me. And it looked like refusing wasn't an option. I finally chose a modern crime thriller called Shadowcatcher. The reason was simple. The others were either fantasy epics or required wire work, and my out-of-shape body probably couldn't handle it. Playing a modern-day detective was, at least, grounded in reality. "Good eye," Scarlett nodded, then made a call. "Hello, Director Lee. The lead for Shadowcatcher has been cast. His name is Jack Carter." "Yes, that's him. I'll send you his headshot in a minute. Have him report to the set tomorrow." A few words, and she hung up. The whole conversation took less than 30 seconds. I was dumbfounded. That was it. It was settled. It was faster than buying a pack of gum from the corner store. You know the director?" "Nope," Scarlett said, closing the laptop. "But I just bought a majority stake in the production company financing the show." I had no words. The world of the rich was truly simple and unadorned. Now that my job was taken care of, Scarlett seemed to be in good mood. She stood up and stretched, her perfect figure on full display. "I am hungry. Let's eat." "Mrs. Davis immediately stepped forward. "Miss King, dinner is ready. Filet mignon with a bottle of 82 Lafite." "Not that." Scarlett waved her hand, then looked at me. "What do you usually eat for dinner?" I answered honestly. "Ramen cups or the spicy noodle place downstairs." Scarlett's eyes lit up. "Spicy noodles? Sound good. Let's have that." Mrs. Davis looked like she'd just seen a ghost. Half an hour later, Scarlett and I were sitting in the greasy, hole-in-the-wall ramen shop below my old apartment. The place was loud and crowded, filled with shirtless guys and office workers just getting off their shifts. Scarlett, in her couture dress, sitting on a cheap plastic stool, looked completely out of place. She seemed a little uncomfortable, but still picked up her chopsticks and, mimicking me, picked up a piece of bok choy. "It's okay," she said quietly. I looked at her, a complicated feeling stirring in my chest. This woman was domineering and a total control freak, but at times she was also kind of cute. After we finished, I rushed to pay. "Hey, how much for 2 bowls?" $24. I paid with my phone, feeling like I'd finally won a small victory. Scarlett watched me, saying nothing, but she took out her phone and snapped a picture of her nearly empty ramen bowl. When we got back to the luxurious penthouse, I got a call from my best friend, Mike. "Dude, you're trending on Twitter." Mike's voice was frantic, like he'd seen a ghost. "What are you talking about?" "Just look for yourself." I opened Twitter. There was 3 on the trending list. Sky Ramen. I clicked it. The top post was from Scarlett's account, posted 5 minutes ago. It was the picture of a ramen bowl, with the caption, "5-star restaurants are nice, but a late-night ramen bowl with my husband just hits different." The comment section had already exploded. WTF? Husband? Sky got married. Who is this guy? I will fight him to the death. The keywords are hits different. This is a massive tell. I think Sky's been kidnapped. Or, hear me out, maybe she just married a normal dude. I stared at the post, my palms sweating. In the living room, Scarlett was doing a face mask, scrolling through the comments on her phone with a small smile on her lips. "Why? Why would you post that?" I asked. "To stake my claim." She peeled off the mask, revealing her flawless skin. "I want everyone to know that you, Jack Carter, belong to me, Scarlett King." Her gaze was scorching, filled with an intense possessiveness. My heart skipped a beat, and I quickly looked away. "Get to the set, on time tomorrow." "Don't embarrass me," she said, her queenly demeanor returning. I know. That night, for the first time in a long time, I slept soundly. The next day, I took a cab to the address Scarlett had given me. The moment I walked on set, I could feel the strange atmosphere. Everyone was looking at me with weird expressions. The assistant director came over with a fake smile plastered on his face. Well, if it isn't our special delivery leading man, Mr. Jack Carter." His tone dripped with contempt and disdain. I got it. Coming into a production backed by money makes you an instant target. I ignored him and walked straight to the director. Director Lee, known in the industry as a tyrant, had a face as dark as a thundercloud. "You're Jack Carter?" He looked me up and down. "Read the script? Memorize your lines? Do you even know how to act?" The 3 rapid-fire questions were packed with hostility. I knew he was trying to put me in my place. I took a deep breath, about to speak, when a cool voice cut through the tension from the entrance. "Director Lee, since when do you need to teach my man how to act?" Everyone turned. Scarlett, dressed in a sharp power suit and heels, strode in, flanked by a group of bodyguards. The entire set fell silent. Director Lee's face went from stormy black to a blotchy red. He obviously hadn't expected the show's new primary investor to show up in person at this little soundstage. Miss King, what brings you here? He managed, forcing a smile that was uglier than a grimace as he scurried over. Scarlett ignored him and walked right up to me. She reached out and, with a natural, intimate gesture, straightened my collar. Didn't sleep well? You have dark circles. Her voice wasn't loud, but in the silent studio, everyone heard it clearly. I could feel the gazes from all directions shift from contempt to shock, and from shock to a potent mix of envy and hatred. No, I'm fine. I mumbled, feeling awkward. Miss King, this is Mr. Carter. We were just about to run some lines. Director Lee explained obsequiously from the side. Is that so? Scarlett finally turned her attention to him, her eyes turning cold. Because from where I was standing, it sounded like you were interrogating a suspect. Beads of sweat popped out on Director Lee's forehead. A misunderstanding. A misunderstanding. It had better be, Scarlett said flatly. Jack is my man, and he's the star of this show. I only have one requirement for my investment. She paused, her gaze sweeping across the entire crew before she spoke, each word deliberate and clear. Keep him happy. Dead silence. Everyone was stunned by Scarlett's overbearing CEO-style declaration. This wasn't a set visit. This was a queen visiting her royal consort to make sure he was being properly pampered. From now on, Scarlett continued, Jack is here to experience the craft. If anyone makes him work too hard, makes him tired, or makes him unhappy in any way. She didn't finish the sentence, but her icy stare said everything. I stood beside her, feeling like a kept man. No, I wasn't like one. I was one, with the official certificate to prove it. Is that understood, Director Lee? Scarlett asked finally. Understood. Perfectly understood. Director Lee nodded, so hard his head bobbed. We will take the utmost care of Mr. Carter and make him feel right at home. Only then did Scarlett nod, satisfied. She turned back to me, her expression instantly softening. You just focus on acting. If you need anything, call me anytime. Then, in front of everyone, she stood on her toes and kissed me on the cheek. And with that, she and her entourage swept out of the studio. After she left, the atmosphere on set was bizarre. The assistant director who'd been sneering at me just moments ago now scurried over with a cup of hot tea, his face wreathed in smiles. Mr. Carter, here's some water for you. Are you tired? We could call it a day and start fresh tomorrow, if you'd like. The female lead, a B-list actress, also came over to introduce herself. Hi, Jack, it's a pleasure. I'm Amelia. Please, let me know if you need anything at all. I had become the king of the set. No one dared to raise their voice at me. No one dared to make me wait a single minute. When Director Lee gave me notes, he spoke in a pleading tone. Mr. Carter, what do you think if we approach the scene this way? Would that be too difficult for you? I felt less like I was here to act, and more like I was here to rule. It was a great feeling, but also strange. I just want to do a decent job, to prove I wasn't a complete fraud. But after Scarlett's display, everyone was convinced I was just a pretty boy living off a rich woman. Which, to be fair, I was. That evening, when I got back to my hotel, a video call from Scarlett came through. How was your day? Did anyone give you a hard time? No, I said with a sigh. They practically worshipped me. On the screen, Scarlett was lounging on a sofa in a silk robe. Good, she smiled. By the way, I have something to show you. She flipped the camera. The screen showed a massive studio space. A dozen professional acting coaches, dialogue coaches, and movement instructors were standing in a line. These people are your new, dedicated team. Scarlett's voice came through. After you wrap this show, they'll start your comprehensive training. I stared at the impressive lineup, speechless. Scarlett, you don't have to do all this for me. Yes, I do. Her voice was soft but firm. I told you, I'm going to put you on top. I want everyone who ever looked down on you to be forced to look up. My heart felt like it had been gently struck by something. This crazy, obsessive woman. Maybe she wasn't so bad after all. After a week of being pampered on set, I started to get used to it. Director Lee practically had whatever Mr. Carter says tattooed on his forehead. My acting was still raw, but every time I flubbed a take, the director would immediately take the blame. Cut. My fault, everyone. The camera angle was off. Mr. Carter, let's go again from the top. Then he'd lean in and whisper almost pleadingly, Mr. Carter, Could we get just a little more emotion this time? Just a touch? Please. It got to the point where I was embarrassed to keep coasting. To make sure Scarlett's money wasn't a complete waste, I started burying myself in the script, studying my character relentlessly. To my surprise, it actually worked. After a few days, I even earned some genuine praise from director Lee. Mr. Carter, you're a natural. One day, I was shooting a scene with the actress playing the second female lead. Her name was Sophie, a fresh-faced newcomer who was beautiful but seemed a little too ambitious. In the scene, her character has a crush on mine and has to adjust my tie. Before we started filming, she leaned in close, her breath warm on my neck. Jack, I'm a little nervous. If I mess up, please be patient with me, okay? Her eyes were practically hooks, and her hand accidentally brushed against my chest. I instinctively took a step back, creating some distance. It's fine. Just stick to the script. A flicker of disappointment crossed Sophie's face. The cameras rolled. Sophie started adjusting my tie. Her cheeks flushed and her gaze soft. She was selling the performance. But her hands started to wander, her fingertips tracing my collarbone. Director Lee frowned behind the monitor but didn't dare yell cut. I felt a surge of irritation and was about to tell her to back off when an icy voice echoed from the set entrance. My man is not for you to touch. Everyone turned. Scarlett was back. Today she wore a black dress, her presence commanding the room. Her eyes were like daggers, aimed straight at Sophie. Sophie's hand recoiled as if she'd been electrocuted, her face draining of all color. Miss King. Scarlett ignored her, walked straight to me, roughly untied my tie, and retied it herself. The gesture a clear display of ownership. He's dirty now, she said, staring coldly at Sophie. Sophie was trembling, on the verge of tears. The temperature in the room dropped to freezing. One of the crew members, who clearly had a death wish, muttered under his breath, "He's just some pretty boy. What's the big deal?" The whisper was quiet, but Scarlett heard it. She whipped her head around, her gaze lethal. "You, come here." The crew member's legs turned to jelly. "Miss King, I didn't mean." "You're fired," Scarlett stated, as if discussing the weather. "And you," she shot a look at Director Lee, "control your people. If I hear one more word of nonsense, we could just shut down this entire production." Director Lee looked like he was about to have a heart attack and stammered out a stream of apologies. After handling the situation, Scarlett took my hand and led me to my trailer. "Stay away from women like that from now on," she said, handing me a bottle of water, her tone sharp with annoyance. "We were just acting," I said, exasperated. "I don't care if you were acting." She stared at me, her eyes burning with that familiar obsession. "I don't like the way she looks at you. It's like she's trying to steal what's mine." I looked at her intense expression and didn't know what to say. Just then, Mike called again. "Jack, you're trending again. This time it's a scandal." I opened Twitter. Sure enough, a gossip account had posted a candid photo from the set, the one of Sophie adjusting my tie, shot from an angle that made it look incredibly intimate. The headline read, "Exclusive. Rising star Jack Carter and co-star Sophie fall for each other on set. Get cozy between takes." The article went on to say that the Nepo baby, was two-timing my mysterious benefactor, hooking up with other actresses while being kept. The comments were a cesspool of hate. Knew this guy was bad news. Poor Sky. She must have been tricked into marrying this loser. Cancel Jack Carter. Get him out of Hollywood. I stared at the vicious comments, my hands shaking with anger. Scarlett, however, was completely calm. She took my phone, glanced at it, then tilted her head and asked me, "Are you angry?" "Of course I'm angry." "Don't be." She patted my back soothingly, then took out her own phone and started typing. A few minutes later, she handed it to me. I saw that she had replied to the gossip account's post from her own verified Sky account. Her reply was simple but devastatingly effective. "He's my husband. I'll spoil him however I want. Stay mad about it." One sentence, followed by a winking emoji. Instantly, the entire narrative flipped. Scarlett's reply was a nuclear bomb that crashed the whole platform for a few minutes. "Stay mad about it" shot to the top of the trending list, a bright red, exploding tag next to it. Holy shit. The queen herself has entered the chat. So badass. He's my husband. I'll spoil him however I want. That is the ultimate power move. I am obsessed. So Jack isn't a sugar baby. He's Sky's actual husband? This plot is getting wild. Am I the only one who thinks this is the most romantic thing ever? LMAO. All the hate comments about me were instantly buried under a tidal wave of memes and public amusement. The gossip account and Sophie, meanwhile, were being torn to shreds by Scarlett's fiercely loyal fanbase. I stared at my phone, feeling like I was in a dream. A PR crisis that could have destroyed a new actor's career was neutralized by a single, nonchalant sentence from Scarlett. Not just neutralized, she had somehow turned it into a positive, solidifying a new base of fans who are now shipping our chaotic streamer and her normal guy husband romance. Is that all it takes? I asked in disbelief. Of course not, Scarlett said, putting her phone away, her expression turning frigid. You think they can mess with my person and get away with a slap on the wrist? They wish. She made another call. Legal department? I want you to send cease and desist letters to the Hollywood Insider blog and the actress Sophie Miller. Sue them for defamation until they're bankrupt. Also, send out a memo. Any platform, brand, or production company that works with King Industries is to permanently blacklist Sophie Miller. Yes, I said permanently. She hung up and looked at me as if nothing had happened. Okay, now it's handled. I stared at her, my throat suddenly dry. Her methods were ruthless, decisive, and carried a chillingly powerful weight. But for some reason, a strange warmth spread through my chest. Being protected this fiercely, this completely, it felt really safe. That afternoon, the production company received a notice from the investors. The second female lead, Sophie, was being replaced, effective immediately. Director Lee didn't dare say a word and immediately cast a new actress. The way the crew looked at me had now transformed from envy to outright awe. That night, Scarlett didn't leave. She checked into the hotel suite next to mine. I had just gotten out of the shower and was about to go to bed when my doorbell rang. It was Scarlett. She was in a bathrobe, her hair damp, holding a hairdryer. Mine's broken. Can I borrow yours? She said, walking into my room as if it were her own. Oh, sure. I pointed to the bathroom. She went in, and soon I heard the hum of the dryer. I lay on my bed, my mind racing. A man and a woman, alone in a hotel room, and she was dressed so casually. Even though we were technically married, this was a first. A few minutes later, she came out. Her hair was dry, falling softly over her shoulders. Her face was flushed from the heat, making her look less intimidating and more alluring. She didn't seem to be in any hurry to leave. Instead, she sat down on the edge of my bed. Jack. Yeah. Do you think I'm overbearing? Crazy? She asked, a hint of vulnerability I'd never seen before in her eyes. I hesitated for a moment. A little. Do you hate me for it? I looked at her, at the reflection of myself in her beautiful eyes. I shook my head. No, I don't. I really didn't. In fact, I felt something else. A flutter in my chest. She smiled, a genuine, happy smile like a kid who'd just been given candy. Then, she leaned in close, whispering in my ear, Good, because you're never, ever getting away from me. Her voice was soft, but it held a magnetic power I couldn't resist. My heart skipped a beat. For the rest of the shoot, Scarlett basically moved onto the set. She came every day, never interfering with filming, just sitting in a chair next to the director like a silent supervisor. But everyone knew she wasn't supervising the movie, she was supervising me. If any actress got even remotely close to me, Scarlett's death stare would lock on, sending a chill through the air. Eventually, a 5-foot radius dead zone formed around me, devoid of all female life except for Scarlett. My scenes wrapped up with incredible speed. Before I knew it, it was time for the wrap party. To suck up to Scarlett, director Lee had booked out the city's most luxurious hotel ballroom. It was a massive affair. At the party, Scarlett was the undeniable center of attention. She traded her usual power suits for a stunning, custom-made burgundy gown that outshone every other actress in the room. She held my arm naturally, introducing me to everyone as, "This is my husband, Jack." I became the object of every man's envy. As the night wore on and the drinks flowed, some of the younger cast members got rowdy and suggested people perform for the group. Someone sang, someone else danced. The new actress who replaced Sophie, trying to curry favor, had an idea. Hey, you know that stupid viral dance on TikTok? Why don't we have Miss King and Jack do it for us? The room went silent. Everyone knew who Scarlett was. Asking her to perform a goofy, lowbrow dance was practically a death sentence. Director Lee went pale, about to intervene, but Scarlett simply put down her wine glass and said coolly, "All right." Everyone was stunned. I was stunned. You know how to do it?" "No," she said, looking at me, a smile playing on her lips. "But if you want to see it, I can learn." And with that, she actually stood up and walked to the center of the floor. She took out her phone, found a tutorial for the dance, and watched it once. Then, under the dumbfounded gaze of the entire room, she kicked off her heels and, barefoot, started to dance to the music. Her movements were precise, almost clinical, but imbued with a strange, captivating grace. A multi-billionaire ice queen in a couture gown, performing a silly TikTok dance with a deadpan expression. The image was so surreal, so powerful, it broke everyone's brains. This wasn't just down to earth. This was a goddess descending from the heavens to slum it with mortals. When the music ended, the room erupted in thunderous applause. Scarlett didn't even look at them. She walked straight back to me, a light sheen of sweat on her forehead. "Was that fun?" she asked. I looked at her, my heart feeling full to bursting, a strange mix of ache and joy. I nodded. "Yeah." She beamed. Her smile was brighter than all the lights in the ballroom combined. After the party, we went back to the penthouse. Scarlett seemed to have had a bit too much to drink. Her cheeks flushed. "Jack," she said, suddenly hugging me from behind. "My new project is about to start filming." "Oh, it's a short-form series. I'm financing it." "What's it about?" "A love story." She buried her face in my back, her voice muffled. It's our story." I froze. "I wrote the script myself," she continued. "I even have the title." "What's it called?" "My Possessive Billionaire." I cringed. The title was so cheesy, yet so accurate. "There's only one condition," she said, her arms tightening around me. "The male lead has to be you." In the end, I agreed to star in the ridiculously named series. I couldn't help it. What she was offering was too much. Not money, but the kind of all-consuming obsession that made you feel like you were the only person in the world. I was starting to realize I was drowning in it, and I didn't want to be saved. The series was set to film in my hometown, a tiny, forgotten dot on the map. Scarlett said it was for the sake of authenticity. So our massive production crew descended upon the quiet little town. Scarlett's arrival caused a huge commotion. She made no effort to be discreet, cruising through the town's main street every day in her Rolls-Royce, a convoy of production vans trailing behind her. The head of our town's tourism board, a balding middle-aged man, heard the news and was so excited he barely slept for 3 days. He personally came to our set, shook Scarlett's hand, and gushed, "Miss King, thank you so much for choosing our humble town for your project. This is the greatest possible endorsement for our local tourism efforts." At the time, tourism boards across the country were desperately competing for attention with viral marketing stunts. Our guy clearly saw this as his golden ticket. Scarlett gave him a cool nod. "It was nothing, Mr. Mayor. I'm mostly here for my husband." She pulled me forward. The mayor paused, then a look of dawning comprehension spread across his face. "Ah, so this is Mr. Carter's hometown, a truly remarkable place that produces remarkable people. We will provide our full and unconditional support for your production. Whatever you need, people, locations, you name it." And so, with the full support of the local government, our filming went incredibly smoothly. They even shut down the main town square for us to use as a set. I felt like a local celebrity. Everywhere I went, people would point and whisper, "Look, that's Jack Carter. He married some rich lady, and now he's back shooting a TV show." I heard his wife is loaded, poured millions into the town. I listened to the gossip with mixed feelings. One day, we were filming the scene where the heroine first shows up at the hero's basement apartment. For authenticity, Scarlett had the crew find the most dilapidated basement in town. The place was damp and dark. I got goosebumps the moment I walked in. Scarlett, however, didn't seem to care, plopping down on the moldy mattress in her designer clothes. The director called, "Action." I delivered my line from the script. "Who are you? What do you want here?" Scarlett looked at me, her eyes soft, about to deliver her line. Suddenly, a deafening roar came from above. The entire basement shook dust raining down from the ceiling. What's happening? An earthquake? The director yelled in a panic. We all scrambled out of the basement. Hovering in the sky, directly above the apartment building, was a black helicopter. The downdraft from its rotors was so strong it was hard to keep our eyes open. A rope ladder descended from the helicopter. An old man in a black suit and white gloves slid down and landed gracefully on the ground. He ignored the stunned film crew and walked directly to Scarlett, bowing deeply. "Young miss, your father has ordered you to return home immediately." The color drained from Scarlett's face. "I'm not going back." "Young miss, please do not make this difficult for me." The old man's tone was polite but firm. "The family cannot be without its head. This game of running away is over." Scarlett gripped my hand tightly, her palm ice cold. Watching the scene, which looked like something out of a Hollywood blockbuster, only one thought crossed my mind. I was screwed. This was big. She wasn't just some rich girl who ran away from home. She was the heir. The old man's name was Mr. Abernathy, the King family's head of staff. He looked at me like I was a piece of gum stuck to his shoe. "Young miss, is this the friend you've made on the outside?" Abernathy's voice was laced with a subtle contempt. "He's my husband," Scarlett said defiantly, pulling me behind her. Abernathy's eyebrow twitched, but he didn't press the issue. "Your father's orders are absolute. You must return. The motorcade is waiting." Scarlett tried to argue, but Abernathy leaned in and whispered something in her ear. I couldn't hear what he said, but Scarlett's face grew even paler. She was silent for a long time before finally deflating. "Fina, I'll go with you." She turned to me, her eyes full of reluctance and apology. "Wait for me. I'll be back soon." Then she followed Abernathy to the end of the alley. A fleet of black Bentleys had appeared out of nowhere, a procession more impressive than any movie set. I watched her get in the car, watched the motorcade disappear down the street, feeling a hollow ache in my chest. The helicopter flew away. The world returned to normal, as if the whole thing had been a hallucination. The crew gathered around me, their faces a mixture of shock and fear. No one dared to speak. The director finally approached me cautiously. "Mr. Carter, should we keep filming?" "Yes," I said, taking a deep breath to steady myself. In the days Scarlett was gone, I threw myself completely into my work. It felt like acting was the only thing that could distract me from the gnawing anxiety. A week later, I got a call from an unknown number. "Is this Mr. Jack Carter?" The voice on the other end was a woman's, soft and polite, but with an air of superiority. "Speaking. My name is Victoria King. I'm Scarlett's older sister. I think it's time we met." We met at the nicest cafe in town. Victoria looked a bit like Scarlett, but her aura was completely different. If Scarlett was a thorny rose, Victoria was a lily raised in a greenhouse, elegant, pristine, and untouchable. "Mr. Carter," Victoria began without pleasantries, "I know about you and my sister. I need you to leave her." "Why?" "Because you are not worthy of her," she said, stirring her coffee, her voice flat. "The King family does not need a son-in-law who climbs the ladder on a woman's back." I clenched my fists under the table. "That's between me and Scarlett." "No, it is a matter of the King family's reputation." Victoria looked up at me. "Scarlett, she has always been rebellious, headstrong. I apologize for the trouble she's caused you by running away." She took a checkbook from her purse, wrote on it, and slid the check across the table. "This is $2 million. It's more than enough for you to live comfortably for the rest of your life. Leave her and forget you ever knew her." I looked at the check and laughed. The oldest cliche in the book. "And if I don't?" Victoria's eyes turned cold. "Mr. Carter, don't make a choice you'll regret. You may not be aware, but Scarlett's position in our family is not what you think it is." "What do you mean?" "She's a daughter of the King family." "Yes. But Victoria Post Drapingavamshed. She is not my father's biological child." I froze. There was a mix-up at the hospital 20 years ago. I am the true King heiress. Scarlett is the daughter of chauffeur. No one knows this besides my father and me. Out of sentiment, my father has always raised her as his own. But now she's gone too far, willing to throw away everything for a man like you. Victoria looked at me with an expression of pity. "What do you think a fake heiress without the King family name can give you? Everything you have right now came from us. Without the King family, you and she are nothing. My mind went blank with a deafening buzz. Scarlett was the fake daughter. No wonder she was so insecure, so desperate to hold on to me. Everything she thought she had was built on a lie. I looked at Victoria's smug, triumphant face, and a white-hot anger surged through me. I picked up the check and, right in front of her, tore it in half. You're wrong. I stood up, looking down at her. What I want is something the King family could never give me. All I want is Scarlett. I walked out of the cafe, my head in a spin. Victoria's words were a crushing weight. I immediately tried calling Scarlett, but her phone went straight to voicemail. I was frantic with worry. She was alone, facing that family, that situation. She must be heartbroken. I had to go to her. I told the director I had a family emergency and bought a ticket for the next train to her city. Hours later, I was standing outside the gates of the sprawling King family estate. The security guards wouldn't let me in. All I could do was wait. I waited from day into night. Late that night, a car pulled out of the estate and stopped in front of me. The window rolled down. It was Mr. Abernathy. Mr. Carter, the young miss asks that you go home, he said, his face in a motionless mask. I want to see her. The young miss said she does not wish to see you. I don't believe you. I yelled at the car. Scarlett, come out. I know you're in there. There was no response from inside. The car's engine revved as it prepared to leave. In a moment of desperation, I ran in front of the car, blocking its path with my body. I'm not leaving until I see her. Abernathy's expression darkened. Just then, the back door opened. Scarlett got out. She looked exhausted, her face pale, her eyes red and swollen. What are you doing here? She asked, her voice hoarse. I came to take you with me, I said, my heart aching for her. Go where? She laughed, a bitter, broken sound. Where can I go? Jack, you should just leave. We're not right for each other. I can't give you anything anymore. What did I ever ask for? I yelled back at her. I want you, Scarlett, not the King family heiress. Listen to me, I said, walking toward her, grabbing her by the shoulders. I don't care if you're the real heiress or the fake one. You are my wife. You used to be the one protecting me. Now, it's my turn to protect you. Tears streamed down Scarlett's face. She collapsed into my arms, sobbing like a lost child. I am sorry. I'm so sorry. I lied to you. It doesn't matter, I said, holding her tight, stroking her back. None of it matters, as long as I have you. At that moment, Victoria and a stern, imposing middle-aged man, obviously the head of the King family, came out of the mansion. This is absurd. Mr. King bellowed. Scarlett, you get back here this instant. Scarlett trembled in my arms. I shielded her with my body, facing the powerful man head-on. Sir, Scarlett doesn't want to go back. Who do you think you are to interfere in the affairs of my family? Mr. King sneered. He's my husband, Scarlett said, peeking out from behind me, her voice trembling but firm. Good. Wonderful. Mr. King laughed, a cold, furious sound. Since you're choosing this man over your family, then as of today, you are no longer a king. Everything I have ever given you, I am taking back. He thought that would break us, but I just smiled. Fine by me. I took Scarlett's hand, looked him straight in the eye, and said, word by word, that's perfect. From now on, she belongs only to me. And with that, I turned, pulling Scarlett with me, and walked away without a single look back. Behind us, I could hear Mr. King's enraged shouts fading into the night. We took the train back to my hometown. Scarlett leaned against my shoulder the whole way, quiet. Any regrets? I asked her. She shook her head, then traced 2 words into the palm of my hand. Not scared. She was right. What was there to be afraid of? She didn't have the King family anymore, but she had me. And even though I was still a broke, unknown actor, that didn't matter. This time, it was my turn to spoil her, to make her the happiest woman in the world. Back in town, we resumed filming our series. Only now, there was no Rolls-Royce, no bodyguards. Scarlett became my unofficial assistant. She learned to bring me water, to run lines with me. She was clumsy and awkward, but she seemed happier than I'd ever seen her. The crew thought we'd had a falling out. The looks they gave me shifted back to pity and contempt. I didn't care. On the last day of filming, I took the first paycheck I'd ever earned and bought Scarlett a ring. It was small and inexpensive. I got down on one knee. Scarlett, You were the one who faked our first marriage license. Now, I want to ask you for real. Will you marry me? She nodded, tears streaming down her face. Yes. Later, our little series, My Possessive Billionaire, went viral online. I became famous overnight. Critics and fans all said my acting was incredibly moving, especially in the romantic scenes. They said the love in my eyes was so real, you couldn't fake it. They didn't know. I wasn't acting, because every time I looked at the camera, I was really looking past it at the woman who was just out of frame, the woman who had given up a kingdom for me. My whole world. End.